Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this March 26th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. We're on the EOA network.
Yep.
How are you, man?
I'm good. Second Monday.
Yeah.
It's Monday for me, really.
I don't know, the days just kind of all run together
Yeah,
these
that's
days.
very true.
Yeah.
Very true. It's my favorite time of year, though.
Is it?
Well, when it comes to sports, absolutely. It's March Madness. We just got done with the NCAA Wrestling Nationals this last weekend. Baseball kind of started. The Padres and the Dodgers played their first two games of the season in Seoul, Korea. But opening day is Thursday. So, yeah, it's just a good time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the baseball
What, Shohei?
gambling? Yeah.
There's more to it than what we're hearing. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. I love all the memes. I think it's funny. Yesterday they interviewed Pete Rose, and he was like, "Man, if I would have had an interpreter in the 70s and the 80s, I'd be in the Hall of Fame." I don't know if he gambled or not, but there's something fishy. You know, your interpreter doesn't get $4.5 million out of your bank account without you knowing.
Yeah.
You know, and the story's changed twice, so who knows? I mean, baseball's. He made a statement yesterday. Shohei did, and it was obviously written by Major League Baseball. I mean, he read it off of a paper that the commissioner's office sent him. But I mean, gosh, could you imagine? I mean, and I guess that's kind of your role as his best friend to take the fall for him. But I mean, even if dude was gambling, his interpreter, Shohei knew.
Yeah.
Don't lie. Like, you're just making it worse. Like,
Right.
There's some, you know what I mean? There's no way dude had access to his bank account first off, and there's no way $4.5 million leaves your bank account without you or your accountant knowing.
Right.
I mean, there's something fishy about it. Fishy. Yeah. If it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, smells like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's absolutely it's just,
And that's what everybody's saying. It's like nobody knows if it was actually Shohei gambling or not. I mean, as long as he didn't gamble on baseball, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, per se. It is against the rules to gamble on offshore accounts if you're a Major League Baseball player, but the punishment is at the commissioner's discretion for that. And in the past, it's happened a couple times, and all that happened was the dude got fined.
What's the problem with gambling with off?
It's illegal.
You mean it's like illegal in the country? I see.
Yeah. You can, if you're a baseball player, you can go to Vegas and bet on football all you want.
Right. But what does it mean to gamble with an offshore account? So you have a bank account, and that's what
you're gambling with a bookie that's putting money into an offshore, like gambling out of the United States.
So there is no international gambling at this point?
There is, but you have to be outside of it. I don't know the exact laws when it comes to it, but when it comes to sports, it's way different.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny, I was talking to a guy, or I was listening to a couple of guys talk about this yesterday, and the whole sports betting thing, opportunities have gone through the absolute roof.
Yeah. You can sit at a game and gamble right there. You know what I mean, on your phone in Oregon. I mean, you can gamble on your phone in Oregon while the game's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So the whole landscape. A lot of things have changed since Pete Rose was.
But Shohei is the face of baseball.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he just signed a $700 million contract.
That's
New
crazy.
Balance just released his logo. I mean, and they're paying him something like $50 million a year or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Baseball cannot afford to have a scandal, so they're going to cover. They're going to do everything in their power. Because originally it came out that Shohei just paid off his gambling debts.
Yeah.
And then the story changed, and it's, he stole from me, because his lawyers probably said, that looks really bad, money coming from your account to an offshore gambling account.
Yeah.
So they were like, dude, we got to do something. You're taking the fall.
Yeah.
But there's even more to it. Like interpreter said he went to like UC Riverside. They have no history of him ever attending a class.
Oh, that's right.
There.
I did hear that
Yeah,
part
just
too.
all kinds of weird things with like it just, like I said, it walks like a duck, talks like a duck. It's probably a duck.
You know what's funny is I mean, I've been a fairly avid baseball watcher in the past, but I had no idea who Shohei was.
Really?
No, I couldn't have. I mean, I haven't engaged in the last several years.
He's a really good baseball player.
Yeah, I mean, they said that he might be the best player ever.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's possible. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's only been in the league a few years, but in the few years that he's been there, he's.
Yeah. And what position does he play? He's a pitcher.
He does both.
He's a what?
He does both. He pitches and plays and DHs when he's not pitching.
Oh, really? Okay.
You don't have that never.
Right. But you don't. But
he made the All-Star game as a pitcher and as a DH.
Huh.
Yeah, it's crazy. Pitchers don't hit.
But in one of the leagues, though, pitchers don't even hit at all. Which one?
No, both now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a DH in both now.
Oh.
It used to be the American League.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
But it's crazy. He's he's better than a generational talent. He's like a lifetime talent, or even more than that actually. They compare him to Babe Ruth because Babe Ruth pitched early on in his career, and then hit 714 home runs.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. All right.
The forum the other night, Robin Church said something that was pretty powerful, and I think she messed up and called Governor Kotek Kate Brown.
Okay.
I think she was talking about Kotek when she said this, but let's take a look at it.
And I do understand the frustration that people have with how they feel that we don't benefit from a lot of the laws that are passed. Well, I can tell you I've run the numbers many times. I watched those election numbers for years. It takes people showing up and voting for the greater good of the majority of the people. We ended up with some legislators. I'll give you the governor's race is the big example. That seems to be the big complaint and where we get a lot of direction from. 75,000 votes Kate Brown won by. 800,000 people did not vote in Eastern and Southern Oregon. That says they don't care. And if you don't care enough to vote and you want to see our state go down the drain, then don't vote. If you care about our state, you show up at the polls and you vote. Vote for the one that's best for you and best for your state.
And I don't know if the numbers are right. I don't think the name's right, but the point is 100% right. Get out and vote.
Well, and the results, and had everybody voted, there would probably been a different selection.
Well, I don't think there's 800,000 people in Southern Oregon and Eastern Oregon. Do you?
Yeah.
800,000? There's only 600,000 in Portland, right?
I don't know. We'll have to ask her, though. Yeah.
800,000 seems like a really big number to me.
But I do remember hearing that fact. I mean, the governor's race was close enough that more people getting out to vote would have made a difference.
I guess there's more. There's 4.24 million people in Oregon, so that's probably right, actually.
Yeah.
800,000 is a lot, though. But I just like the premise of that. Hey, get out and vote. If it's not only it's your duty as a citizen. It really is, in my eyes.
Well, and I think that, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I vote every time, but I mean, it'd be really interesting to know the number of people that complain and don't vote.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But that was I was really. I mean, and we've talked about this a little bit, but that forum went really pretty well. I mean, it was
outside the judges.
Yeah, we thought it was going to go for a long. It went 2.5 hours, and
cranked them out, dude.
They clipped
awesome.
through it. Yeah, they really did.
And I felt like everything went really well outside of the judges. I did not like the
contentiousness.
No, there's no reason for that. Let's just play fair and.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking bad about any of them. I don't know them personally. I just think in a public forum like that, it's not the right place to call people out. And I've chosen to do a little bit of research about that because I want to know more about why the West Williams is getting pulled off of cases. So I'm going to do some research on it and figure it out.
Yeah.
And form my own opinion on it.
Well, and now that I'm on the candidate side of it, I mean, I notice the signs, I notice the advertising, I notice all of that stuff. But that has so little to do with the actual information for voting,
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it's just a little bit of a new perspective for me. Because I'm certainly one of those people in the past that is like, I don't know who I'm going to vote for until the day I open the ballot, and it's like, oh, I didn't even know that person was running, and so, so I vote every time, but sometimes I'm totally ignorant. Yeah.
It's going to be a tough choice it's going to be nine people running for commissioners. Crazy. I mean, everything else is just head to head.
Right. Yeah.
We won't see Cody and Shane on the ballot until November. So we'll have the preliminaries in May, which will have the 9 commissioners. And we won't see the judge either, will we?
Yeah, that will be decided in May.
In May, okay.
Yeah.
And then the one judge is Powers is running uncontested.
Right. But that's why there's so much contention early on, is because the race will be decided in May for the judge. For the open, anyhow.
Okay, so Alex says, according to publicly available data from the Oregon Secretary of State, 988,131 Oregonians in total did not vote. It's hard for me to believe that 800,000 of them are from Eastern Oregon and Southern Oregon. You know what I mean? That means only 188,000 people outside of Eastern and Southern Oregon didn't vote. There's no way. I mean, the numbers don't matter though. It's the point. To me, it's like, okay, the point is, go vote.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah, but Alex, what was the split? What was the difference? You know what I mean? How many more voters would have tipped the race to Drazen? And that was really the point of Robin's thing. So.
Well, I mean, I would imagine the majority of that 988,000 is metropolitan.
I don't know.
I would imagine. You know what I'm like? I can't imagine that 800,000 was Southern Oregon and Eastern Oregon, and only 188,000 was.
Well, I mean, I've heard Robin talk about this before, so we'll see what if Alex can come up with some information.
BC? What do you think about death with dignity? Remember that? Did you ever see that documentary on Netflix, How to Die in Oregon? When they first passed that law in Oregon?
I mean, I don't know that I saw the video, but I'm totally aware of the
They
topic.
followed a lady throughout her whole process.
Yeah.
You think you should be able to die if you want to?
Well, I mean, people exercise that right all the time, just not with a prescription.
I'm talking about with dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. So, I mean, I'm sure that if I were I watched my father die over several weeks. It took him. That's interesting about death is that it can be really fast, but then you have people that want to die, and it takes them a long time to die.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like God saying, "Hey, you know what?
Yeah,
it's not your time yet."
Yeah. Well,
but do you think that do you think that death with dignity is justifiable?
What you mean?
Like, do you think people should be able to do it? Do you think somebody that's terminal? So in Oregon, in order to do it, it has to be prescribed by a doctor, but the doctor can't be there.
Yeah.
And it has to be, you have to go through a whole process.
Right.
And so you got to go through this whole process. Do you think people should be able to do that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would say I think that it is an option clearly that is available in Oregon.
And I think people should be able to do it.
Yeah.
100%. For the simple fact that if you're in pain and the doctor's saying you're gonna die 100% for sure,
Yeah.
and you and your family all agrees, and you guys sit down and talk about it, then
Yeah. You're right.
you know
Well,
what I mean. You could go out in the street and blow your head off.
right. But I think that it's not that clear of a choice, or otherwise it would be legal in all 50 states.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the point is that different people have different feelings about it, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand that from a standpoint of I'm one of those people that I'm going to hang on to every breath until I'm a fighter. Now,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, you know.
I mean, I can't imagine me ever, like saying I would fight too, 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
But there are some people that choose, hey, man, I don't want to fight this anymore after they've fought it for 10 years.
well,
and the families just
but
wore out.
But
and
see, the
person's wore
reality
out.
is that, and what a lot of people don't know is that, I mean, there is a forum of that. I mean, so in other words, I mean, nobody would ever tell you this, but I mean, when somebody's dying and they've got morphine, they have a morphine drip, or they're taking it, whatever it might be. I mean, it's not unusual for their morphine to be turned up so much that their death comes quicker, put it that way.
Yeah.
So I think there is a version of that. So
He said 182,985 people didn't vote in 2nd Congressional District.
and Drazen lost by
That's
66,000.
Wallowa to Medford,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not, that's a lot different than 800,000.
Well, I know, but you know what
Yeah,
her point was.
Yeah.
Her point was that the governor's race could have been just changed differently,
Right.
just if.
But you
people
could say
would've
that
voted.
the other way too. There's
Right, but-
700,000 people didn't vote in the other district.
Right. But the fact is that when you look at Republicans and Democrats are better about getting their people out to vote. I mean, absolutely. So
I don't know.
yeah, they are.
I don't follow it well enough.
Yeah, no, and so, yep. So for people who can't complain on the on the east side of the state, it's like, yeah, be more
Should have
involved.
voted.
Yeah.
You all should have voted.
Well, and that was and the point of that conversation was the Greater Idaho movement.
Yeah.
So for those people that want to, join Idaho, or they're frustrated because they're not represented, the first thing they can do is,
Get a governor in.
or vote. That's the first thing they can do is vote. Yeah. All right, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
Thanks, Alex, for that.
And sports report brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Go see the Daggett family. They got a great selection of American-made furniture, awesome mattresses, awesome recliners, everything you need. They want to make you comfortable in your own home. LHS softball had a huge comeback on Friday versus Kuna. After trailing 10-1 in the 4th inning, the Lady Tigers battled back to win 12-11. And then in Game 2 of the WTP Classic over there in Idaho, they handled Timberline 10-0. Saturday's games were canceled due to weather. The Lady Tigers ran their record this weekend to 5-0. They're undefeated. On the schedule, they don't play again until next Tuesday, and that's the GOL opener in Baker at 2 and 4 o'clock. They got a doubleheader. LHS baseball had a nice comeback of their own against Littleton, Colorado in Arizona last night. The Tigers ended up winning 11-7. When I checked the score, I think they were down 4-0 in the first inning, and they came back. They play tonight at 7 versus Canyon View, which is an Arizona team, and then tomorrow at 10 versus Highland, California, to wrap up their Arizona spring break trip. They will also open up GOL play next Tuesday in Baker with games at 2 and 4. EOU baseball played pretty well this weekend, but they still lost all 4 games to the number 7 team in the country, LCSC. They were all close games. I mean, within a couple runs for all 4 games. This team, I still have faith in this baseball team, man. They're better than they were last year, a lot better. They're competing with they didn't win per se this weekend, but they competed, and that's the important part. EOU track and field had a nice showing at the Pacific Multis with Israel Miles finishing second in the decathlon on the men's side, and then Liz Grandel and Samantha Conley finishing second and third in the heptathlon on the women's side. Which, so in the springtime, in the outdoor season, men go from the heptathlon in the indoor to the decathlon in the outdoor. So they go from 7 events to 10. Women always do 7. So they do 7 in the winter and 7 in the spring as well. EOU women's lacrosse lost their first game of their Southeast road trip, falling 21-4 to Montreat, North Carolina. They play Life University today at 3 p.m. EOU softball got all 3 games. They were supposed to play 4. One of them got rained out, the Friday game. But they won all 3 games this weekend versus Warner Pacific on the road. Hannah Tyree stayed hot. She went 8 for 9 this weekend. She had 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. And then junior pitcher Kaylee Hoskins is making a bid for CCC and National Pitcher of the Year. She threw 10 innings this weekend. She gave up 1 run. She leads the CCC in ERA, strikeouts, batting average against, and she gave up 3 hits this weekend. The key to this, though, she only threw 10 innings. She struck out 26. That means only 4 of the batters that she got out, she didn't strike out. She earned CCC Pitcher of the Week for the 4th time this season. Last year, she won it 5 times. And last year, she got the CCC kind of screwed her over. And I'll be blunt about that, and I've voiced my opinion on social media about it. She led the conference in all the major statistical categories for a pitcher and didn't win Pitcher of the Year in the conference. They handed her Newcomer of the Year. It's like she should have been the Pitcher of the Year. She should have been a first-team All-American. She got second-team All-American. So hopefully this year they don't screw that up again, because it's frustrating. Like, she led the country. She didn't just lead the conference in these statistical categories. She led the country in ERA. She led the country in strikeouts. She led the country in batting average against. How are you not a first-team All-American?
Yeah.
It was just dumbfounded me. And so hopefully this year we figure out a way to get her first team. I mean, I'm lobbying for her to be, if it keeps going like it's going right now, she's National Pitcher of the Year in my eyes. Here's a quick look at the upcoming schedule for this week for Mounting Athletics. We'll talk more about this weekend's games on Thursday. AM Sports Report brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Go check it out. Big Red Rocking Chair on Elm, off Adams, in LeGrand. Yeah, they get me all fired up about that. It pisses me off.
Do you ever get feedback from the people who actually make those decisions?
No, of course not. No, I get feedback from people's parents all the time.
Yeah.
Like I said the other day on my Instagram, I was blunt. I said, OIT should not be in the top 5 in the first poll with 6 losses.
Right.
No way.
Yeah.
They were like 9-6 or something.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a LeGrand girl on that, so I got some feedback about that. But I mean, I root for OIT when EOU's not playing them. I root for JC. You know what I mean? So it's not. I wasn't bashing anybody on their team. I'm just saying, like, a team with 6 losses is not a top 5 team in the country to me.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I don't care if you won 5 national championships in a row. If you have 6 losses going into the first poll, you're not a top 5 team.
Right.
No way.
But all of these, I mean, there are several. I've heard you frustrated in the past about OSAA. I mean, there's just
right. The system is broken.
Right. Why is that? Because are those people
okay? So
OSAA, do they just look at numbers and they don't take other? Yeah.
OSAA just they put numbers into a computer and that spits out like Baker, state champions in basketball. You know what they're ranked going into the state tournament? They lost 1 time all year to Cascade on the end of a 3-day road trip where they beat the 3A state champion the day before.
Yeah.
Baker was ranked 4th going into
in.
And they beat every team in that tournament by at least 15 points.
Right.
It's just
they're in from OSAA. There's got to be like there's got to be like an Eastern Oregon. What's the opposite of a handicap? You know what I mean? It's the Eastern. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
there's
disadvantaged.
not. There's not.
Well, but I mean, somewhere in the system.
No, there should be. There's not. The problem is there's not. The problem is LeGrand has to play Ontario in baseball and beats them by 31-0 and 29-0 and drops in the ranking because Ontario is so bad at,
Right.
At a certain sport. So there's not anything that's covering that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all, I mean, and it's fair for everybody, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't work. It's not, the polls are never right. Like
Yeah.
you can't, especially OSA. And then the college level is completely different. Those are voted on by the coaches. You know what I mean? These are coaches polls. These aren't putting numbers into, but you also have a coach from your conference that's lobbying, or two. You know what I mean?
Right,
They're
right.
your
So they're not.
conferences.
So it's not a. Yeah.
No, I sat in the seating meeting for the CCC wrestling tournament.
Yeah.
It's where all the coaches sit down. They have, you're allowed to send your 12 guys, right?
Right.
There's 10 different weights. So you have one guy at each weight. Whoever for conference, you have one guy at each weight and then two floaters. So
Yeah.
you have two at two different weights.
Yeah.
Well, they all sit in this big old room with Rob and with the guy from Daktronics or whatever, track wrestling, and they argue over which guy should be seated 1, 2, 3. Some of it, there's no argument, like, obvious
Right,
number one.
right.
But then when it comes down to, like, say you got a guy that, you think should be seated 3, well, then if it's all about who he beat and, quality of wins and this, that, and then if they can't come to a agreement, they vote. You know what the problem is with that? If you have a guy at a certain weight class and you're voting to seed somebody, you're gonna seed that guy to your guy's benefit.
Oh yeah. Right.
Of
right.
course.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you think that guy's the 3 seed or not. If you're voting for if he's the 3 seed and it doesn't benefit your guy, you're not gonna vote.
Right. Right.
So it just doesn't make any. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Like the whole process is frustrating.
Yeah.
And I don't know. A lot of times football's the closest, honestly.
As far as
But we
the
play in a
most
different
accurate.
conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not talking bad about the CCC. I think the CCC does a great job. I think it's ran well. I think Rob and his team do excellent. I just don't like the national seedings, the way they vote. And the NAI is very, very place favoritism to teams in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Midwest, division of college athletics. I mean, you look at volleyball; it's a prime example. Or if you even look at their social media,
Yeah.
99. I don't want to say a number, but a majority of their posts and pictures are all teams in
Yeah.
the Midwest. They don't really talk about the CCC too much.
Yeah.
I mean, unless like volleyball's just dominating. And
Right.
they'll talk about it a little bit more often, but still, like you look at softball, best conference in the country, hands down. Nobody's even close. Okay, we have 4 teams in the top 25. We have 3 teams in the top 15. And if you went to their social media, if you go to NAIA-SB, which is NAIA softball, there might be 1 or 2 posts about CCC softball. So I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating.
Yeah. Yep.
Across the board. Don't get me going on that. Dang it.
Get you going.
My
I
blood
think you already,
pressure.
I think you already went, man. All right. Well, hey, let's look outside.
We're just now getting to weather.
We are.
My goodness.
Yeah, but we don't have a guest, so
look
we're
at
just
that.
gabbing today.
It's wet.
Yep.
It's crummy.
Wet. Let's look at the graphic. What do we got? Is it going to stay this way? So down to
warm.
31 tonight.
It's going to be 31 the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It maybe clears up a little bit over the weekend as far as moisture is concerned. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see if we have any more snow this year or not. Yeah, I mean, and we've had that before, where it's like you get beginning of April, mid-April, we just get dumped on.
Yeah. I think we are. I think we're going to get some more snow.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but because I hate it, but I'm imagining that we're probably going to get more snow.
You just never know. Yeah. So.
My middle kid turns 18 tomorrow. We don't have a show, so happy birthday, Kyron.
There you go.
Big 18 tomorrow. They're in Astoria. Well, they're in Newport. They play a baseball tournament at the beginning of the week. He's not playing, but he's still going with the team.
Yeah.
Like he's still traveling.
Is he figured out where he's going to go to school yet? He's looking around.
He hasn't made a decision.
Yeah.
I think it kind of depends on what happens with his knee and kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got pretty much everything done. I hope he goes to EOU. I mean, that's my hope, but I'm not going to tell him that.
Yeah.
He don't watch this. I want him to make the decision all on his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know he would help. I mean, he could compete at EOU's level for sure.
Yeah.
In wrestling or football.
Yeah.
I mean, whichever he wanted to do. Or both. But I don't want him to do both.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Yeah, especially at the college level.
Yeah, I would almost prefer that he wrestled.
Yeah.
Honestly, because you don't get as beat up.
Yeah.
You do get beat up in a different way.
Right.
Your wrestling injuries aren't as lasting as football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a lot of impact injuries, So we'll see. I don't know.
I've thought about that interview several times with Hunter Sparks.
Yeah.
It was a great interview.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
And yeah, it's just a really good kid.
Yep. Well, that's just the culture of EOU wrestling.
Right.
Speaking of EOU wrestling, Mason Wolcott just signed with EOU wrestling from LeGrand. He got third this year. He was the one that lost in the semis to Kai. He's in the same weight as Kai.
Okay.
And he just signed this last, I think yesterday or maybe Friday with EOU wrestling.
So he lost to his brother?
No, he lost to Kai.
Sorry, you'll have to remind me of Kai's last name.
Carson.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
He lost
so Kai.
in the semis to Kai.
Yeah. Okay.
Kai's brother is Braden, who's already been out of high school for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But so the crazy thing is Kai and Braden are going to wrestle the same weight next year at EOU.
Wow.
We've already talked about it.
Right.
Yeah. And so I don't know what Mason's going to do. He's going to either have to cut some weight or put some weight on because he ain't going to be able to. When they won't. I mean, I don't think you want three guys that won't. I mean, and you don't want those two in front of you. I mean, Kai beat him. You know what I mean? So he would be unless he could beat him in practice.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Break it down for me. So you have two brothers.
One graduated 2 years ago.
Okay.
One won a state championship.
And they're both Carson's kids.
Yes.
Okay, and then you have one Walcott kid.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank
who
you.
graduated this year? Who got third?
And they're all the same weight. Approximately.
Approximately.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I when I wrestled in high school, there was a kid I just could not get by, and so then you eventually it's like, okay, I'm gonna go up or down.
I need
one
to
way or
cut
the
some weight, or well, and I don't know how that worked out this year. I don't know why they ended up in the same weight, but if Kai doesn't, if they're on opposite sides of the bracket,
right,
then they're 1 and 2.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, he only got third because he ended up on the same side of the bracket as Kai, which I don't understand how that happened, but that's another one of those seeding things, It's weird. It really is. I'll never figure that out. Like, we were looking at the seedings for 5A, and my son was like 39-4 or something like that going in. He had beat everybody in the state tournament except for the 1 seed. And I thought he was going to be the 2 seed. He should have. But he ended up being the 5 seed.
Huh.
Yeah. Which he ended up getting 4th, so they kind of had it right. But he also got injured. And the 2 kids that he lost to that got 2nd and 3rd, he beat both of them at districts. Yeah. So going in, I mean, the top 4 in the heavyweight division for 5A were all from the same district.
Huh.
Yeah. They just swapped places. which I would have rather he would have got. Well, no, yeah, I would have rather he would have got 4th at districts and 2nd at state, but he got hurt. And he's happy. They won a state championship as a team, so
Yeah.
it was fun.
All right. Well, hey, let me ask you a couple. I got some trivia here. But
Are you smarter than a first grader?
no,
again?
no, and this is actually I don't. This is like a site, random trivia generator. Yeah, and so I don't know what these are either. So, what is the international radio code for the letter F? You know, when you have Alpha, Zula, you know.
Foxtrot?
Foxtrot it is. Yes, okay. Yeah. Let's see. What is the first element on the periodic table?
Oxygen?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen?
Yeah.
Oxygen? So it's
It's
hydrogen.
it's been forever. I couldn't have. And I don't know the answers to these two.
No, there's no. I mean, I'm not a science dude.
Okay,
really.
who is the first American artist to have a painting on display in the Louvre? And I don't know this. This is more of a curiosity thing.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not.
James Whistler. I have no idea.
I don't
who
even
James
know who
Whistler
that
is.
is.
Yeah.
BC.
Who invented the box that psychologists use to shock rats?
No idea.
I want to say,
Where did you
B.F.
come
Skinner.
up with these?
I don't know. These are just they're in different categories. I think you can see, but you
I
can't
see
read
far
that.
away.
Yeah.
Even with my glasses, I can't see
Yeah.
that. No. I'm supposed to be asking us easy questions to make us look good.
Yeah. What sport is sometimes called rugger?
I mean, I'd guess rugby, but I don't know.
Rugby. Rugby union. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, rugby. There's two different kinds of rugby. There's Australian rules.
Well, it's interesting. When the Corvette was introduced in 1953, what was the only available color it was in?
Silver?
White.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would have never got that.
Okay, here's a. Who led the NFL in rushing 4 out of 5 years from 72 to 76? 70.
Jim Brown?
O.J. Simpson.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so these aren't making either one.
Johnny would have known that one
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But that's like that's I'm not good at old football. I'm good at, if you 2000s football, I would smoke it, but
Who recorded the song Lion Eyes? The Eagles.
no idea.
Yeah, so I'm looking for something that, yeah. These are all,
All hard ones.
okay. Here, we know, what U.S. city was the first Starbucks store opened in?
Seattle.
Yeah,
That's easy.
yeah.
Now there's like hundreds of thousands of them.
Yeah, I was in Seattle during that time. And
I've never had Starbucks coffee before.
really?
Nope.
You've never?
Never. No.
You've never been through a Starbucks?
Oh, I've been at a Starbucks before, but I've never drank the coffee.
Oh, because you're just not a coffee drinker.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My ex-wife used to drink it sometimes, but she was a Dutch Brothers girl, so
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah.
No Starbucks. Starbucks is too uppity for me, dude. I ain't going to no Starbucks.
Well, and it's funny, Dutch Brothers started in Southern Oregon. I mean, just a couple of guys starting a coffee shop, and now it's gigantic.
Like Sorbonauts
Yeah.
in Baker.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that they're franchising.
They probably are.
Yeah.
Don't they? They have one here, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
They got
And
one
you know
here,
who
Baker.
who started
Yeah, the Stone
Sorbonauts?
Brothers. Yeah, Stone Brothers.
Stone Brothers. Yeah, Sorbonauts is Stone
Backwards.
Brothers back.
Yeah.
Stone Bros backwards. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a theater in Baker that the name is like the Inthian I mean, it's kind of a weird name, but it actually is. It's a word backwards.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, so that's kind of a Baker City thing because Stone Brothers, they started I mean, they started their thing in Baker City. So, yeah. Well,
Let's get out. Let's get
get
going.
out of here. Yep.
On this day, which is March 26th, 1830, the Book of Mormon is published in Palmyra, New York. 1830. 1845, patent awarded for adhesive medicated plaster, which was the precursor of Band-Aids. It's interesting. Adhesive medicated plaster. I wonder what what was the medicated part? Like
Yeah.
a triple antibiotic or something? But what if you weren't cut? Well, I mean, I guess you wouldn't be putting a Band-Aid on, right?
Well, yeah. For years and years, I mean, they used Vaseline as kind of the medicated,
Vaseline on a cut?
Man, yeah, when I was a kid, that's
Nah, nobody ever used Vaseline on me. You use it in boxing to get the gloves to slide off so you don't cut.
yeah.
But I've never heard of it being used on a cut. Vaseline on a cut, BC?
Yeah.
I think you might be losing your mind. Nobody putting Vaseline on a open. They only put it on to boxing to get it to slide off.
Yeah, well,
I never heard of it being used on a cut.
1885.
1885, Eastman Film Company manufactures the first commercial motion picture film.
What year?
1885.
Oh, okay.
1945, the outlet is led by the United States Marine Corps' secure island of Iwo Jima from Imperial Japanese Army after 18,000 Japanese and 6,000 Americans were killed. And that's where you get that picture of the Marines putting the American flag onto the island of Iwo Jima. 1982, Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder released the single Ebony and Ivory in the UK. 2020, a record number of Americans file for unemployment, 3.3 million, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. That's a lot of people, 3.3 million. That's like almost Oregon.
Yeah.
No, that's a lot. It's better than that now. That was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Number one movie in America on this day in 1974. What do you think it is, BC? Oh, come on. These guys jumped the gun. Like,
70. What year?
well, I
What
mean,
year?
the picture's
84?
already up. So
But what is that? I can't remember.
1974.
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Quote of the day comes from Brian White. We never really grow up. We only learn how to act in public. We never really grow up. We only learn how to act in public. It's a good one. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. You know, when I was a kid, my mom always said, and I've told this to my kids too. I'm like, home is the place where you can act like an ass. Out there?
Right.
Nah.
Yeah.
But if you need to get it out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my mom always said that too. So you got to get it out in the house. Like don't get it out there. Don't embarrass me.
Yeah. Have some decorum when you're out the door.
Yeah. My mom was like very adamant about that too. Yep.
So, Tanya and I watched the documentary the other day on the making of the "We Are the World."
The song.
The song.
Yeah. When Michael Jackson got all those people together.
Well, it was
Paul
actually
McCartney,
Lionel Richie
Lionel Richie.
and Michael, but the song was written by Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And super, it's super interesting. I mean, it's about an hour and a half long, but really interesting.
I think I've seen that like a while back. It's older, right?
I don't know. I mean, I think all of the footage is older, but I think it was assembled fairly recently.
Huh.
Yeah. But yeah, just a really interesting story because they had the guy and then the
diverse group of people.
Yeah, the famous producer, and his name escapes me right offhand. He's the one that put it all together and stuff. And anyhow, yeah, I mean, and I think that's what's so unique is never, probably ever that.
No, there's like country, like it wasn't like Willie Nelson.
Yeah, well, yeah, and what
there's
made
all kinds of people.
Yeah, and what made it unique is they figured out that they wanted to do it, and there was a music award show that particular night. Okay, and so then many of these artists were already in
there.
town.
Yeah.
But they I mean, they recorded, they didn't finish until 5 in the morning. So a lot of these artists went right from the music store, right from the music show to the studio, and they were there until 5 a.m. And then it was over.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so it was just, yeah. And so then managing all of those personalities and all of those, yeah.
Oh,
Well, and it was really interesting because they all get in the studio. I think there were 40 of them or so. They get into the studio, and they weren't allowed to have, it was just the artist. No publicist, no managers, just the artist. And so it was the very first time that a lot of them, you know, I mean, they
37.
They interacted by themselves. Yeah, so super interesting.
Waylon Jennings was in there. Billy Joel.
Well, and that's funny. So Waylon Jennings was there for a while, and then at some
he
point
threw a
he's
fit.
like, "What's that?"
Says he threw a fit while they were recording it.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it's just it's a very interesting show.
Who else? Paul Simon, The News, Kenny Loggins, Dan Aykroyd, Smokey Robinson, Bette Midler. So some people were just like not Bob Dylan,
Yeah,
John Oates from Hall & Oates, Tina Turner, Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates, Jackson 5 other than Michael. So I didn't know the whole family was there.
I didn't
LaToya
either.
Jackson,
I didn't.
the Pointer Sisters, Willie Nelson, Steve Perry, Kenny Rogers,
Yeah.
Diana Ross, Quincy Jones, Lindsey Buckingham, I don't know who that is. Dionne Warwick, I know who that is. Huey Lewis, I know who that is.
yeah,
Lionel Richie, Ray Charles, Harry Belafonte,
yeah.
Bruce Springsteen, James Ingram, Cyndi Lauper, Michael Jackson, and Stevie Wonder.
Yeah. And who produced it? I can't. Who's the guy? Does it say?
It didn't say who the producer is, but I can find out.
He was he directed the whole. I mean, he's the one that really pulled it together. I can't remember. I mean, he's famous.
Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to have someone like Quincy Jones to say, "All right, everybody, be quiet." And so that was like, yeah,
Yeah. Especially with that many.
super interesting. Yeah.
And it was like, wasn't it like for like to raise money in like Africa?
Yeah,
or
it was
something
for
like
African. It was African aid, African food aid. So they were raising money, and I guess they raised, $80 million bucks.
that? Probably
or
a
something like
lot.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd imagine back then.
Yeah. All right. So this coming Thursday, 2 days from now, so Dr. Kelly Ryan, president of EOU, will be right here with us.
And then next Tuesday or Wednesday, are we doing a cooking show?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not going to be live anyway,
Right.
so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. We got another one of those we're
But
recording.
we do have a
that's coming out.
cooking show getting ready to come out
Yep.
pretty soon. Yeah, I'll give you guys a little teaser. We're making a dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah. That'll be good.
Yep.
All righty. Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you being here. See you soon.
See ya.